Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we're going to do an honest review of the Starlink. As I have traveled the country in my van full-time for 5 years, the last year I added a Starlink Mini, not as my primary internet, but as my auxiliary internet. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, the Starlink, even the Mini here, does take a significant amount more power than does a simple cellular modem. Cellular modem, typically half to 2 watts max. This guy here, between 15 and 25 watts. I think it's between 25 and 40, somewhere around there, which means on a battery powered life, the Starlink doesn't perform nearly as well for energy. The second thing, and as we found in our travels using the Starlink, is while it does work, it gives me internet in many tremendous places I do not otherwise get internet. It doesn't do a very good job streaming, at least with the Mini. Now, I think if you had the full size, you don't necessarily have that, but what I ran into a problem, perfectly clear skies, absolutely nothing around, purely desert, not an obstruction within 100 miles, and I would still get about every couple minutes or so, I'd get a little bit of buffering on a live stream, even at 720p. So I did not want to deal with that on a regular basis. But this did give me tremendous amounts of internet in some amazing places that I've been in the past and have not been able to successfully do. Now, the other thing that I did with my Starlink is I gave myself a couple different options here. I have a way to mount this on top of my van utilizing a magnetic mount system. And because the Starlink Mini has a separate Ethernet line here, I'm able to feed the Ethernet directly into my van's full network router so that everything in my van is powered by the Starlink without having to rely on connecting wirelessly to the Starlink. Although the wireless connection does actually work in some places as well. And I have gotten a chance to test this in some places that I visit regularly with no capability of getting internet, and I've also gotten a chance to test this in many other really good places. So what I did want to do today is I wanted to talk about an honest review of the Starlink. I want to talk about my individual setup and the speeds, and I want to tell you about the various places that I have been since getting the Starlink that I've gotten internet in places I never have before. So let's go ahead and talk first a little bit about performance. As the Starlink sits right here, and there's some partial obstructions up here. These trees and stuff will get in the way, and that's another reason why you do not want to rely on it entirely. Cellular works in the middle of a forest as long as there's a tower nearby. Starlink, you gotta have a clear view of the sky. But even with obstructions right now, this is telling me that I'm getting 200, oh, I accidentally just left my thing. I had 216 down and I think 35 or something up. I accidentally clicked the button and it moved off of my screen here. So first let's get it to our accessories here. So I'm powering the Starlink right now at an off-grid setting on a Ugreen 130 watt power pack. Now it's too bright out here for me to actually read the screen, but in my experience, I can get between 3 to 5 hours of use out of this in just this offline setup. So I actually have this backpack here, and I bought this online for maybe 20 bucks. And this is an official Starlink backpack. It's a hard shell for the Starlink, fits the Starlink Mini. And then inside of here, I carry this phone, which is dedicated to the Starlink. This does not serve me any other purpose than to manage the Starlink. This is Graphene OS. I did have to do the Google Play services because one part of their app requires it. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I don't think you have to have it to manage everything. The other thing that I have in here is I think those are just spare weather parts, just spare weatherproofing for the ports. I have some adapters which will convert your standard DC port into USB-C port in here. And I have the power port that comes with it. This is a 50-foot cable with an AC adapter that plugs into the back of the DC port. So I've run this off of both my Jackery and I've also run it off of my cheap Chinese battery pack, which works well. The Starlink Mini itself comes with 2 stands. This is the basic stand. It folds down flat and can open up to set it down on the ground. I actually never leave this one on the thing. I always take that off. And what I actually did is I used the secondary mount that they give you, which gives you the ability to screw into any form of camera mount. And with that camera mount system, I bought this device here, which is the most amazing thing I ever found. Hopefully it's still for sale. If it is, I will post a link for it down in the description. This is I bought it as a magnetic mount for the Starlink, but it's a 3-part system. It has this part here, it has the magnetic mount here, and then it has the adapter here, which will convert this guy there. It'll convert this guy here up into screw into the mount down here at the bottom. And this mount also, I believe this mount, did that come with the Starlink or not? I don't think this mount came with the Starlink. The big plastic one did, but I think the metal one here, because you can get a number of different pole adapters for the Starlink, and this mount I have at the bottom is the pole adapter link. This ties into that pole adapter and then gives you this, which is the most amazing thing in the world, because between that can screw right into just a standard cell phone camera case. It's on a standard camera mount. I can also just use this and plug this into any camera mount, like the one my camera is sitting on right now, or I can screw this guy here and I can magnetically put this on top of the vehicle, and it's a super strong magnet. And so this was probably the most amazing, I think, 20 bucks I spent for the Starlink, because this one mount does absolutely everything. Now, I've also been able to offer this offline kit here. I can throw this on the dash of the car. As long as I'm pointed somewhere north, I'll get good internet doing that. Really, this has been an amazing thing. But this kit here, that's what I have in here, which will allow me to take this kit as a backpack, and I can go off anywhere and get internet for 3 to 5 hours because of this U-Green battery pack. Now, when I am in the van itself, if I'm out camping somewhere and there's no cell signal and I want to use the Starlink, I actually have mounted a Starlink mount on top of the van. So I got a water through, an aquatics rated, marine rated haul pass through. So basically I drilled a couple holes up there, and it allows me to pass Ethernet, and it allows me to pass the power line through. I connected a separate power line adapter directly into the van's battery, so I just flip that guy on. That was a separate Starlink adapter. It goes right into 12 volt and it converts it to whatever I need to run the Starlink, and one toggle switch, and I have power for the Starlink when this is sitting on the van. And then I have a switcher to run the Ethernet from between the Starlink or from the Cellular. And so I can use this in that setting. I can take it out somewhere like this, just have a laptop. I could take that backpack with me somewhere, maybe throw that in the car, throw my laptop in the car, go out to the most remote part in the world and just kind of hang out, run Starlink, use my laptop, and have full internet. So where all has this allowed me to have internet in places I've never had it before? The first is, obviously, I am away from the office this week. I recorded this video to push out. I am at camp all week. Our camp is in the middle of the range with a radiometric telescope. And so there are no cell towers within, I think it's like 30 miles or something of where we're at. So there's no cell phone signal coverage in any way, shape, or form. But at that camp, I have a clear view of the sky. I'll get to camp. I mount the Starlink on top of my roof. I have internet in my van where nobody else does, except we have internet at the lodge from, I think it's a cable or an Ethernet or some sort of internet we have up there, either cable or DSL or something. And so it has allowed me to do that. Also, where I'm at right here in my office, this is outside of my office, we have very weak cell signals here. We are literally in the middle of the boondocks. So when I need to work outside or I don't have access to the home internet inside the building, the Starlink works great out here. And there's actually one time my internet went down. I actually just threw the Starlink on the back deck and ran a 50-foot Ethernet cable into my network, and I powered my network while our cable was out. So this is an excellent deal at $55 a month to get, I think we get 50 or maybe it's 100 now. I think they upped our rate. I think we have 100 gigabytes now for $55, which is not too bad. Let me read off the other places as I travel the country this year. I added this in last summer. And there's some other places that I was able to get it. So nice little spot in South Dakota, middle of nowhere, one of the national forests. I think there was a little bit of cell signal, but I couldn't upload videos. But I was able to upload videos because I threw the Starlink up on the roof and I was able to upload videos there. Craters of the Moon, Idaho. One of the 3 places I ever bought a campground because it was the most amazing place to buy. A $4 campground to camp among lava fields was an amazing thing, but no cell signals. So I just tossed the Starlink up there on top of the roof and I was able to work just fine throughout the night with full speed internet. I did stop as I passed through Idaho. I passed from South Dakota down into Wyoming. I stopped at a random Wyoming rest area in the middle of nowhere and wanted to work for a few hours. Got Starlink over there. Not to mention Pinnacles, California. Go down there to Pinnacles National Park in California. I had excellent internet down there in the visitor center. I had done a bunch of hiking. I stopped for a couple hours of work and did a bunch more hiking. In the middle of that, I was able to actually run the Starlink to get good internet. Highway 1, California, got myself right on the coast there, up high, way away from everything. Turned on the internet there, used Starlink for that. Quartzsite, Arizona, we have good internet down there, but when the big RV convention shows come in, the cellular networks get really jammed. Starlink saved the day. Threw the Starlink up there, still got full internet. And then as I'm leaving Arizona, I'm crossing over, I want to cut through Arizona there, through New Mexico there, and I drove through the Gila National Forest, which is in the middle of absolutely nowhere, no civilization anywhere. Stopped at this beautiful campground in the middle of that, full internet right down there. And then of course Box Canyon, also New Mexico, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, New Mexicoville. There's a little bit of internet, but not enough to push video uploads for the channel. So again, Starlink saved the day. So this gave me internet in places I've never had internet before as I traveled. So I still prefer that cellular, it's more consistent, but when we don't have it, I always have the Starlink backup. All I need is a clear view of the sky and we got it. Okay, so being a privacy advocate, let's talk about using the app, because that's one of the things when I first saw Starlink, I'm like, ooh, if I have to use a phone app to do everything, I don't know. So let's go ahead and talk about that. The first thing I tried to do this on my Lineage OS phone that does not have Google Play services, and there's one part of the app that didn't work. And I have found that that was not a part of the app that I found particularly useful after I figured out how Starlink worked. That was I think it was the obstruction test. So you can go in here and it'll kind of show you how the system is obstructed, and then I can click the thing for obstruction tests, and for that part of the app requires Google Play services. Let me be honest with you though, that part of the app is completely useless. Okay, you figure out where about you're at. I know north is roughly this direction, and from roughly this direction I look up. Are there serious obstructions? No. Okay, Starlink's gonna work. Okay, you do not need that app to figure out exactly where you're going. You just don't need it. Everything else on the app does seem to work without Google Play services, but I did want to have a dedicated phone, and since I have this Pixel 6a phone floating around here, I actually went ahead and just used this, and this is a dedicated phone. I keep it charged up, I keep it in that pack. This serves no other purpose than to manage Starlink. But let's talk about what the manages it can do. I'm gonna need to take my glasses off for this one here. So inside of this, I did find this to be quite incredible. You have the ability to get in there and control the various devices. You can change your SSID. There's even filters you can put on. So if you're wanting to look at Starlink for a family, you can actually go in under the settings and under the router, and you can do content filtering. And apparently I'm not signed into the app anymore. I'd have to get signed in there to get that fixed. So I gotta fix that myself. But you can go in here and you can set in a parental filter, which uses Cloudflare's parental filtering, which it does a really good job of getting a lot of the bad stuff off the internet, and it's constantly updated. There's a bypass mode. You can do the full factory reset. You also have the ability to turn on a mode which will draw more power, but it will melt snow off it. So if it's permanently fixed outside, I don't have that problem, never use that feature. So that's the router. And then under Starlink, You can set it to go to sleep. You can do software updates. You can reboot the whole system. You can do a full factory reset. So there's actually a lot of stuff you can do inside of the app. Now, there used to be a portal page. I think you can still kind of get to it like a 192.168.11 type page. That does not have a lot of useful information right now. They've been kind of phasing that out in favor of the app. That's unfortunate. But really, the app, you can download it from the Aurora store. You do not have to have Google Play services. I feel fairly confident with it, with the features it has. But the unfortunate thing is, yeah, to do most of the management of Starlink, you do have to use that app. They don't have an APK version available, so I got to download a proprietary app. That's the one thing I don't like. But like I said, dedicated phone serves no other purpose to manage the Starlink. We're good with that. Now, it does have really good wireless, and it does have, as we said before, that Ethernet port. You can plug your computer directly into it, disable the wireless internet, and be dedicated only to you using it. I will warn you, if you do not set those administrative passwords, I just, like the first day I had this, I turned it on in a Walmart parking lot just to see how it worked, went right into the app. Within a minute of turning this on, other people were already on my Starlink. So I had to boot them off and then reboot the whole system and things like that. So just be aware of that. But ultimately, the Starlink, I gotta say, is an amazing thing. I would not rely on your primary internet if you are a perpetually connected person, like unfortunately I have to be. You know, I gotta always be online, make sure my clients don't need something. I gotta be able to reach my servers. We have a lot of different YouTube channels going, so you know, I always have to be online. So I prefer that cellular, but the Starlink was one of the game changers that I had in van life and traveling the country. Of course, the other being the Jackery, but we're not talking about that in this particular video. I don't know if it would fit in with Switch to Linux, maybe, because I've been running my office on the Jackery still. Let me know if you would like to see a video about the Jackery. I guess in the comments we can talk about that. Although warning, I've not touched that app. That one seems shady as AF. So there is my thought on the Starlink. Just tremendous, and the teardown of this is nice and simple. I am going to push an update. The system wants an update through there. I'm going to push that before I shut it down, but literally just shut everything down, pop it back in there, and I can be ready to go in 5 minutes, you know. So no real big deal. So there is my honest review of the Starlink, and let me know your thoughts about Starlink. Have you used it? Have you considered it? And let me know your thoughts about all that in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.